You ready? Mr. Casmark, will you call the meeting to order?
Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for October 4th, 2012 to order at 8:05 p.m. On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Conboy.
Here.
Chawinski.
Here.
Bonsino.
Here.
Work. Here. Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting which we trust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, if I may, just for the record, Mr. Giblin did phone me about an hour ago. He's hung up at another meeting. He is expected to be here, but he will be a little delayed.
Okay. Whereas Chapter 231, the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires at the commencement of every meeting a statement by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised that the meeting requirements of this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack, the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure when they're going to change the times that this is going to be on TV, because I was watching Channel 77 today and it's still under the old dates that we had. But we have new dates starting October 1, it's past that now, October 1 to March 31st, 2013. So if you want to watch this, it's on Cablevision, Channel 77, Monday at 2 p.m. and Friday at noon. And if you want to watch it on our web, www.elmwoodparknj.us. So the new dates are Monday at 12 p.m. and Friday at noon, with the caveat that I just mentioned. It's already October and I saw it on today and it wasn't on these dates. But thank you.
Mayor, this evening under the approval of minutes, we have the September 13th, 2012 work session and the September 20th, 2012 regular meeting.
May I have a motion, please?
Excuse me, Mayor, just one point for Mr. Casmark. September 20th, I was absent. So.
Yeah, okay.
And Mayor, I also have something.
Why don't we get a motion first and a second, and then you guys can put it in. Okay, motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, Mr. Castiglia, any discussion? Mr. Bonsino?
Just for the September 20th meeting, I was absent.
Okay, so that would be an abstain for that. Okay, and Mr. Coletti?
Yes, regarding September 20th, the regular meeting, resolution R295-12. The record should indicate that I abstained on the appointment of Stephen Schechter, which it doesn't.
Duly noted. We'll have it changed to official.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Call the roll, Claude.
On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Conboy.
Yes.
Chawinski.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under ordinances on first reading, we have Resolution 297-12, introduce ordinance 12-19 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled...
Excuse me, Mr. Casmark, just put down that Mr. Giblin is here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Chapter 7 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Traffic, by amending Section 7-11 and 7-14.1 thereafter, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, October 18th, 2012 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as the same can be heard, at which time and place any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper an introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Mr. Castiglia?
Yes.
Okay, did you second?
I did it.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I have a comment, please.
Speak into the mic.
Over the last year, probably more than a year, we were asked to examine the parking situation in the Rosemont section, specifically the restrictions that existed there and the possibility of making that section unrestricted. And so what we did, we decided to set out and evaluate it, and we covered the signs and essentially made it unrestricted for the good part of a year. And we wanted to survey the situation and if we were doing anything in detriment to the neighborhood. We asked the chief of police, the former chief of police, to survey the residents and get their preference on the conditions, whether they preferred unrestricted or not. When I campaigned last year, I did an informal survey, probably talked to maybe 20% of the houses I visited. And while there was a slight preference, it wasn't very conclusive. Councilman Castiglia did his own evaluation. And I guess in my mind, there was nothing really that you could conclude from all the data we collected. And so we put one last survey out to the residents in the summer, latter part of the summer, and we asked for their feedback. We gave 3 choices. And essentially the choices were unrestricted, restricted, and some mix of the 2. And we thought that was probably a fair way to present it to the residents. And we received that survey, and we assessed the results of that survey. What's clear to me is that there's no right answer there. If you talk to one person, you get one opinion. You talk to another person, you get another opinion. As I described last week at the work meeting, it's essentially a normal distribution. You have a couple of residents on one end that want unrestricted parking. You have a few residents on the other end of the spectrum that like it the way it was. And there's probably the vast majority of residents in the Rosemont section that have much better things to do with their life than worry about the parking out in front. That's my personal opinion. People may say, well, we covered the signs and nobody complained. But when you look back over the time we've been evaluating it, nobody was really complaining, with the exception of a few residents on one particular street, to begin with. So in my mind, I'm not sure where we were going with this. I'm going to vote no tonight to this ordinance simply because it was tailored to one particular street. I'm of the opinion that if we're going to do something, it has to be for the neighborhood and not try and solve a particular resident's problem. So I'll entertain this again if it becomes more generic to the whole neighborhood. I thought that the decision to go with a compromise where it's restricted during the business day and then unrestricted at night was a fair and equitable thing for all the residents. It didn't quite turn out that way. I respect my other colleagues here who may differ with my opinion, but I'll be voting no on this. And if it does fail, we'll go back and try and work it some more.
Anyone else wish?
Yeah, I'd say, excuse me, I made an error here. I thought that this was a different ordinance. I thought it was the one on the crossing signs. Can I withdraw my second?
Let's see what I said again.
Yeah.
And ask it again?
You can leave your second on, and we're going to be voting anyway, Larry. Anyone else who wants to comment? If not, call a roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
No.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewitsky,
Yes.
Bonsino,
No.
Work.
No.
With a tie, I'll break the vote and vote no on it, and we can discuss it more. But I do have to indicate that it's been a year, almost a little over a year, that the original ordinance is still in effect. We've never done anything about it. So if we don't resolve this question shortly, then the ordinance stands, and Mr. Attorney, that's got to go back into effect, right? We've never taken it off the books.
Correct. The only reason it's not being enforced is because the signs have been covered over.
Okay, but at some point in time, we just to get the council to recognize the fact that we have to do something sooner or later. Can't keep the signs covered.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I'm not on either side of this issue. I listened to the residents on all of these streets. Councilman Work came up with an option 1, which we thought was a compromise and served both sides of the issue. It would be alternate side parking, but it would only be from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. during the day. Unrestricted on Sunday. You can park anywhere you want on Sunday, and you can park anywhere you want from 6 p.m. every night till 9 the next morning. We thought that was a fair compromise. We thought that it served people on both sides of the issue. And that's the reason we wanted this introduced. The original way with 4 streets involved. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Mr. Kaczmarek?
Mayor, this evening under ordinances on second reading, we have Resolution 298-12, introduce ordinance 12-17 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Amend Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Zoning and Site Plan Review, and whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, September 20th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Amend Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, entitled Zoning and Site Plan Review, pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Mr. Kaczmarek, will you please inform the public that no vote will be taken on this evening?
Yes, this ordinance needed to be sent to the planning board for their review and any type of recommendations that they may send back to the mayor and council prior to final adoption. We have not received that document yet from the planning board secretary. However, as we advertised in the record, we will be holding a public hearing on this ordinance tonight, and then I would recommend to the council that we table this ordinance until we receive the required documents from the planning board.
May I have a motion to open the public meeting?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Boncino, second by Mr. Chewinski. All in favor? Opposed, so ordered. Anyone in the audience who wish to be heard on this ordinance?
Miles Harvey, 98 Fensack Avenue. Good evening, gentlemen. The purpose of me speaking tonight is not certainly to offend any of the hard, diligent workers on our planning board or our mayor and council. I'm just here to speak about a different perspective than perhaps some people may have about this ordinance. I've been in business I've been in the family business since I was 10 years old. And I've seen ordinances and laws negatively impact my family business, whether it was the tavern business, the motel business, the courier service, just to name a few of the businesses we were in. There were a few others as well. We were in retail shops in Passaic and retail shops in Clifton. So unfortunately, government means well many times, and there are not considered consequences of some of these ordinances. This particular ordinance, I think, is a good first step in opening up Elmwood Park to more perception of being a better business-friendly community. For a number of years, I worked as a realtor and then eventually the branch manager of Coldwell Banker, located on Broadway. And I can tell you firsthand that we had a number of listings over the years on Broadway, retail outlets for rent, and we would advertise, the properties and, have a sign in the window, and we would get calls. And when we would get a sign call, you would get the typical questions: how many square feet, what is the rent, is it a triple net lease, and all those things. And then when we would say, well, you have to, go to the planning board in Elmwood Park, and they say, Elmwood Park? I thought this was Fairlawn. And I would say, no, it's Elmwood Park. And they said, well, no, you really don't want to get involved. We want to be in Fairlawn. We understand that Elmwood Park is really tough, and it's difficult to get things approved. Now, I understand the perception. I understand the planning board and perhaps the mayor and council's feelings about this, and I understand that only 2 applications have been denied over the last number of years. And that's fine. However, perception's reality. And the perception out there of people is much harder to change because of stories that have been told about situations that have occurred in Elmwood Park. And I'm approached by other business people in town with, some of their war stories, as it were. One gentleman approached me and told me that he was looking to relocate his business in town. He wanted to stay in Elmwood Park. He just wanted to relocate it. The place he was at, the rent was too high. The traffic in the particular area had not been what it used to be, and he wanted to downsize and move to another part of the community. He looked at a property. He was very interested in that property, and when he went to the building department, they told me I'd go to the planning board. He was told he had to have an architect. He had a hard time finding an architect. The store he was looking at was less than 1,500 square feet. I think it was even less than 1,000 perhaps. And it's a small job for an architect, and he didn't know who to choose. And it took him a while to get an architect, and then he got an architect, and he had plans drawn, and he spent some $500 on plans, and he went back to the landlord, and the landlord said, I couldn't wait. I rented to somebody else. I made a commitment to somebody else. They offered a little better price than you offered. And he was pretty disappointed, not only being out of pocket the $500, but, the time wasted, having to go through this procedure. And he was not looking to make any structural changes in the building. He was just going to put gondolas on in the building to, he's not going to change a fire exit. He's not going to put a wall up. He's not going to put any new windows in or take out on the old windows. He was just going to put gondolas in a retail outlet. And yet, I feel that the requirement, as explained to him, was cumbersome and eventually, negated his ability to make a move expeditiously. That's just one example. I think many times we're all concerned with parking issues, and I could appreciate that. However, as a realtor, I could tell you that when you purchase a property near a commercial zone, expect to have cars in the area. If you buy a house near a ball field, expect baseballs and soccer balls to come in your yard. It's location, and the oldest joke in real estate is what's the three most important things in real estate. It's location, location, location. Well, I can tell you that when you have a location, a single-family house or a two-family house next to a commercial zone, that buyer is spending less money to purchase that house than if he were buried in a nice, sleepy part of the neighborhood. So it's almost like they want it both ways. We want to pay less for our house, but we don't want any of the traffic parked in front of it. And that doesn't help the citizens of Elmwood Park if we had more stores, more resources for them to utilize. It benefits us. It benefits the landlords. The landlords pay property taxes here. If their buildings are empty for a period of time, they can go in for an appeal. And then, everybody else has to pick up the slack there. So I just feel that sometimes I understand we try to find, a reasonable compromise with parking, but I think too often the residents get a little bit worked up. As I said, they paid less money for their house than they would have paid if they were deeper into the neighborhood, and yet they want to change things when they get there. And I just think that's unreasonable. I'm on the Board of Recreation. We try to find compromise with people. But the bottom line is if you buy a house next to a ball field, expect balls to come in. It's just the way things are. One thing that did trouble me a little bit about a discussion that occurred a few weeks ago on this ordinance had to do with parking restrictions, and I forget who, and I wouldn't mention it if I remembered who it was anyway, but somebody was upset because a tenant moved into a building, a commercial tenant moved into the building and said they were going to have so many employees, and then they ended up eventually having more employees. Well, that's a good thing. That means the business could be growing. And isn't that what we want to do? Grow our businesses and make them thrive so that they can continue to pay their rent, and then the taxes get paid on the property, and then services are there for the community. So I understand you don't want to have major parking issues, but I think sometimes there could be some flexibility there. And I think sometimes when we talk about it almost seems contentious the way some people that have come up to this podium to defend the old existing ordinance, it's almost contentious to the business people. And, you know, the business people provide services for the residents. And they, as I said, I'm getting repetitious here, but they pay the rents and the rents pay the taxes. So it is my opinion, I think that this changing this ordinance is a good first step. And if the council does pass it, I applaud them for it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard? If not,
Just for the record, this is only on this ordinance. There'll be a general public hearing at the end. There'll be a general public hearing at the end of the meeting. Sorry, Mayor.
may I have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Chewinski, second by Mr. Work. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So ordered. That's it. Go on. Motion to table. Thank you.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Boncino, second. Second by Mr. Work. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion is tabled. Introduce ordinance 12-18 on second reading, resolution 299-12. Whereas public notice has been given by the borough clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend chapter 7, the code of the borough of Elmwood Park entitled traffic. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, September 20th, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend chapter 7, the code of the borough of Elmwood Park entitled traffic, pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Chewinski, second.
Second.
Mr. Work, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Anyone in the audience who wishes to be
Yes,
heard?
Mayor, could you, Keith, refresh my memory on this ordinance?
This is the one with regard to the chief's discretion to locate the pedestrian signs throughout the borough on an as-needed basis.
Thank you.
No one wants to speak on this ordinance. May I have a motion to close it, please? Mr. Chewinski, Mr. Work? All in favor?
Read my mind now, see?
Opposed? So ordered. Mr. Casmark?
Mayor will need a motion to adopt.
Motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Boncino, second.
Second.
Mr. Castiglia? I want to thank Mr. Chewinski and Mr. Work for doing the other part, and then you have the...
Second. I thought that was Brian.
Call a roll.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy. Conboy.
Yes.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 300-12, payment of bills, Resolution 301-12, confirmation of checks, Resolution 302-12, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 303-12, redeem third-party tax lien, Nikiki and Andrez Krabatsky, Resolution 304-12, appoint full-time crossing guards in the police department, Resolution 305-12, resolution to confirm endorsement of community development program for Orange Avenue improvements. Resolution 306-12, award bid for English Avenue Park improvements to MJ D'Arminio. Resolution 307-12, proclamation, put the brakes on Fatalities Day. And Resolution 308-12, appoint Stephen Schechter, Esquire, Borough of Elmwood Park versus Don and Grosselino. And Mayor, before you ask for the motion, Resolution 308 now reflects the rates relative to Mr. Schechter's employment with the borough on this matter.
Does everyone see that?
Yeah, that was the change of amount.
Yeah, the last resolution didn't have any fee. I checked with Mr. Casmark, and we checked, and it's $125 an hour. Call a roll, please.
On roll call on the consent agenda, council members, we need a motion, I'm sorry.
Motion.
No discussion.
Motion?
Motion and a second.
Wait, guys. Hold on. Motion, please. Moved by Mr. Castiglia. Second?
Second.
Mr. Boncino. Any discussion?
If I may, Mayor,
Yes.
can we pull R308-12 from the consent agenda? Because I care to abstain on that item.
Which one?
That's the Schechter appointment.
Why don't we take that off and have that separate, Mr. Casmark?
Sure.
You're right.
R308-12. May I have a motion? I think I do have a motion on 300 to 307 inclusive. Call the roll, please.
Roll call on the,
Still any discussion?
On the consent calendar?
Yeah, you
Go ahead.
comment. I was waiting for Bob to finish.
Okay.
I just want to remind the folks, those who catch us on TV, tonight we're approving the contractor. For some time now, you've heard me talk about it, so I won't go on long about it, but one of our rec commissioners in the audience, Miles Garvey. I want to congratulate the rec commission and the mayor and council on continuing to go after open space money. It's our matching program. We put up money, we get money. This is a $68,000 approval here tonight that we're doing. This is hiring the contractor. He won the bid. Continuous work will happen down at English Avenue. I am proud to say on this council's watch, since I've been on the governing body, along with the mayor and everybody else here, we continue to try to improve our parks. And this will help level the field and grade it and get it ready for a full soccer field and for any other enjoyment we do down English Avenue, as we also move forward another parcel of English Avenue. So in about another 2 years or more, hopefully I'm still here, English Avenue will look great, and it'll be another great addition to the great parks that we have in our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
on
On the consent calendar.
Correct. On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chawinski,
Yes.
Bonsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Mayor, you want to take a motion separate on R?
Yeah, motion please on the resolution 308-12, moved by Mr. Conboy. Second by Mr. Work. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes, and if I may,
Can't vote yes on it.
Stephen Schechter is a great attorney. The reason I'm sorry, did I say yes?
Yes.
Yes, I want to talk. That's what I meant.
I picked up on where you were going. Go ahead.
Yes, I abstain. I just want to add that Stephen is an excellent attorney. I've used him in the past, and for that reason, I felt it's wise to abstain at this point. But he's a good attorney, and he's made a good choice.
Councilman Conboy,
Yes.
Chawinski. Abstain. Bonsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under departmental reports, we have the health officer's report for June 2012, library board minutes for July 23rd, 2012, municipal court report for August 2012, and recreation minutes for August 21st, 2012.
Motion received and filed.
So moved.
Mr. Work, Mr. Conboy, all in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Committee reports. Mr. Castiglia, we'll start at your end.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a show for you, man.
Oh, you're ahead of the game, Larry.
Yeah.
Moving on up.
I'm going to remind everybody, first time in years. I'm going to remind everybody again about the hazardous waste on October 14th. If you have any laying around your garage, bring it over to Bergen Community College. October 14th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's gasoline, pesticides, things you might want to get rid of out of your garage. We went to the gym dedication on Sunday for Rich Tomorrow. It was a long time coming. Worthy, very worthy celebration. I'm proud of him. Happy for him. And one last thing, Mayor, I hope I get his name right. Private Joshua E. Farroud, son of Monica Mendita, graduated from Marine Corps Boot Camp, Paris Island. So we're proud of him also. That's it, Mayor.
Yes, quick.
Can I have a simplified?
No, not yet. Got to be a Marine, man. Get a Semper Fi.
But you are a Marine.
Well, you're not.
I know it. I said, could I have one? I said, well, my brother was, and that's getting close.
Okay.
I asked you if I can have a Semper Fi. Mr. Castiglia is our Vietnam Marine who served in the Vietnamese War, and we're pleased. He's our hero. When he came home, he was not a hero. Now everybody in the armed forces is a hero, but Larry was. Mr. Conboy.
Thank you, Mayor. First, on the Chamber of Commerce, I just want to continue to congratulate them all. The president of the Chamber is in the audience, John Mareka, and also one of the members is also in the audience, a member of the Chamber of Commerce, one of our businesses, Mr. Garvey as well. You've heard me talk about it. You've seen signs. The Chamber continues to grow and be successful and so forth. There'll be a lot of great things coming in the future from the Chamber. But last weekend, 2 weekends ago now, they held the 5K run. It was unbelievable. Several hundred people ran. Those of us that all of us were out there, actually. I apologize to the residents. I already had some residents ask me. This is not a governor thing. I already had some residents say to me a couple of that same day, that Sunday afternoon, said to me, these are folks that live over on Hillman Avenue. We were at the high school. Were you on a microphone at about 9:15 this morning? Because it was a beautiful morning, if you remember, 2 weeks ago. It was cool out. A lot of homeowners had their windows open to get that Sunday morning breeze. We could have swore we heard your voice. I'm like, yeah, that was me. So it was a great day, and what I want to report back to everybody is the Chamber of Commerce will be having a ceremony with both families that monies were raised for their children that are in serious need with their medical conditions. And if you have a child or a family member that has conditions like that, the amount of money builds fast, the blink of an eye, and there's no catching up with this. So the Chamber of Commerce is very proud. I'm very proud to announce for them that both families will receive a check for $10,000 each. So it's all the residents and all the runners, all the first place finishers and everybody else. Just a fantastic job all the way around. The whole day was great. So a nice job by them. Continuing with the recreation, and of course I mentioned already now, third time, Mr. Miles Garvey's in the audience. He's a rec commissioner and serves the community and all of our folks. The rec commission had voted unanimously with no discussion at all after a lengthy service for us. In 1969, Rich DeMoro was made superintendent of our recreation. He retired in 2007, and the gymnasium now will always be known as the Richard J. DeMoro Gymnasium. And this is just a sample, folks. We did go, I know we're supposed to be frugal, but we did go a little heavy on this expenditure. So this is just the prototype, so don't get upset. But this is what it looks like. And I know all the council members had a chance to see it. Just show up there for the public, so they get a chance to see it.
Looks good to me.
Thumbs up.
Looks good.
Huh?
Looks good to me.
Oh, yeah, good. This is just the phone. But that's what it looks like, folks. So very excited for Rich and his family. He has served our community well. Also, just on a side note, I want to continue to congratulate all of our fall sports teams. The high school football, soccer team's doing great. The high school team lost a real nail biter. The clock just ran out. They were heading towards the end zone, and it just ran out. They lost by 1 to Rutherford, but they're still doing fantastic. Get out and check them. The Bombers, everyone. Our soccer program, Direct, is doing fantastic. I just want to continue to congratulate them. And, yes, I know this young man very well. I've known him ever since he was a baby, watched him grow through all the years over at St. Leo's and in the community and sports, and it's always a treat to watch him. But just want to continue to congratulate Gary Nova, the starting quarterback down at Rutgers, on his phenomenal success. Since the last public meeting, they still are undefeated. They haven't been defeated yet. And in his last game against highly big-time program Arkansas, he threw for 397 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was also named the Big East Player of the Week and also received the Archie Manning Award, along with others. So this weekend they take on Connecticut, and I wish them continued success. So thank you, Mayor. That's it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Boncino?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. A couple of notes regarding our police department. Last public meeting I was at, I mentioned that with the start of school, our department's looking and surveying the pedestrian traffic situation around the schools. And there's an ordinance tonight that was adopted and a resolution on the consent agenda, both addressing that. One being the placement of pedestrian crossing signs will be at the discretion of our police chief, and the other that after a survey of crossing guards, we're adding 3 new crossing guard locations in town, all to make sure that we have safe routes to school for our students. The chief is also starting to look at applications for the dispatcher position that's ongoing. And our tests for captain, we're in the midst of our tests for captain. So Chief Johnson is actively pursuing filling out our new table of organization. On Sunday, I was also at the dedication of the gymnasium, and I just wanted to congratulate and thank Mr. DeMoro for his years of service to the community. It was a great day for him and all around to the town. And finally, I would just like to also thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing and running the first annual 5K. It was a great event. for the community, for a great cause, for the leader and Petronzi boys. And I think the takeaway for me, it really demonstrates that the actions of our citizens and business leaders, not us sitting up here, working together, really define what this community of Elmwood Park is. So I just want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the residents who supported it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Coletti.
Yes, great job, Chamber, on that walkathon. I was walking, you might want to call it a runathon, but I was walking it, wisely so. On September 25th, unfortunately, I missed the school board meeting, so I have no report. I wasn't there. I have no report. I would like to advise the residents of Elmwood Park once again to take the time going over the sample voting ballot that you will receive in the mail prior to the general election on November 6th. There will be a lot on that ballot, and it can be quite confusing, to say the least. Any questions on that three-part school referendum should be directed to the school board, the superintendent's office, 201-796-8700. 201-796-8700. And I would like to expound on the event that took place on Sunday regarding the dedication of the rec department. They were dedicating a section of the building to Rich DeMoro. It was a splendid occasion, and anybody that knows Rich knows that he was totally deserving of the honor. While serving as our rec director for decades, he created many new programs and embellished existing, always treating all the programs equal and dealing with our children as though they were all his children. Truly a special person, Rich. He will be missed as he enjoys his retirement. And Mayor, what was nice about the whole event was the fact that we were doing it while Rich was alive and not doing it posthumously. And I think that's to his credit. Thank you.
Mr. Chewinski. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, if I may start. I wasn't going to say anything about the school board referendum, but as of now, I haven't seen it on the school website. It is a little confusing, but if you wait to go in the booth to read it, you'll really be confused. So you should get a hold of it before. I was hoping they would have put it on their website by now. I haven't seen it posted anywhere yet, except maybe I heard somebody said it was on Facebook. I think I spoke to you today, Mayor. Maybe we can post it on the bulletin board at City Hall so the citizens can see what it's about, which will give you a little heads up on it. And speaking on that note also, they're going to have a meeting at the school on the 16th about this very referendum. I think it's this October 16th. Is that right, Keith?
I believe so. I have the flyer.
We'll double check, but they're going to have a meeting at the school to discuss the referendum. But make sure you read it beforehand because it's quite lengthy. Okay, this month, October, is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And not to be taken lightly, but 3% of male population do get this disease. In fact, one of the senators from Massachusetts, Ed Brooks, has caught this disease. And they also recommend that even males have checkups once in a while for this, because if you feel a lump or something abnormal, you should tell your doctor. Also, I attended the county freeholder meeting last night. If anybody read the paper today, the ordinance 12-27 to dissolve the county police force was not passed last night. Also, the elimination of the pay-to-play practices in Bergen County that was passed this year was the elimination of the pay-to-play ordinance was also passed this year. That means they're eliminating it. There was a question of it being unconstitutional. It was brought up again at their meeting, so last night they voted it down, basically. On the fire department front, Mayor, there was no meeting next week, till next week. The same with the joint insurance fund. There is no meeting till next week. I'd also like to give my congratulations to Richard DeMoro, and I apologize I couldn't make it there. I was stuck someplace else and couldn't get there, but I heard the event went quite well. One more thing. On one other note, I'd like to make mention that the county had a resolution last night in honor of a longstanding state committee woman, Eleanor Nestle, who died. This resolution for Eleanor Gertrude Stephens Nestle, who recently passed away, was a tribute to her. And to put it in the words of freeholder John Driscoll, She was a state committee woman. She was also a Bergen Community College trustee. She was dynamic and enthusiastic, always smiling, a steady force, and a calming influence. She will be greatly missed. And I think that about sums it up. Even though I only known Nestle for maybe 3 or 4 years, she was always smiling, and true to life, she was always comforting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Word?
Thank you, Mayor. The Elmwood Park Health Department will be continuing to offer its free adult consultation child health clinics to the residents of Elmwood Park. The next free adult consultation and blood pressure clinic will be held on October 16th, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Elmwood Park Senior Center, located on Market Street and Boulevard. No appointment is required. Walk-in residents are welcome. This clinic is open to the residents of Elmwood Park, Saddlebrook, and Lodi over the age of 18. And membership at the Senior Center is not required. Now, I know everybody asks me, why do you mention this blood pressure clinic every time or every council meeting? Well, research shows that controlling your blood pressure can reduce your chances of heart attack by 27%, stroke by 38%, heart failure by 55%. People over 55 have 90% chance of developing high blood pressure in your remaining lifetimes. So just a quick checkup, and a free checkup at that, could give you an early warning, and then you can head over to your doctor to do some further research.
If you have high blood pressure, right?
Well, we all have high blood pressure up here. And the Elmwood Park Health Department, with the Elmwood Park Senior Center, in conjunction with HARP of Hackensack University Medical Center, offers these free adult consultations. These consultations focus on preventing, managing high blood pressure, stress, weight control, and lifestyle changes. The next child health clinics, which also include free immunizations, will be held on November 5th and December 3rd, which are Monday evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Please remember the immunizations required by the Board of Education are available at these child clinics. Once again, these clinics are for free well visits, free vaccinations, and immunizations for families that are underinsured and uninsured. These clinics are once again for residents of Elmwood Park, Saddlebrook, and Lodi families. And I encourage families that especially are having difficult times to utilize these clinics in order to keep their children healthy. These clinics are by appointment only. Please call the Elmwood Park Board of Health at 201-996-2038 to set up your appointment. The child health clinic will be held in a clinic room in the lower level of the municipal building, and you can use the Market Street entrance for this clinic. The Elmwood Park Health will also be holding the next adult seasonal flu vaccination clinic on October 11th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Elmwood Park Municipal Building in the courtroom. Vaccinations are free with Medicare B coverage and $25 for adults 18 years to 65 years old without Medicare B coverage. So please bring your Medicare card with you. And once again, for the residents of Elmwood Park, Saddlebrook, and Lodi are welcome. Also, I would like to thank and commend the Elmwood Park Chamber of Commerce for hosting the first, and I hope it is the annual, 5K walk and run to raise money for 2 families that needed financial assistance for their medical bills. The 5K walk and run was a tremendous success, and it raised over $20,000 for these families. Okay, but and next year I promise if we do have the 5K, we'll finish higher than 175th out of the 510 people that ran the race. I'm a coach, and it was a little bit embarrassing. Elmwood Park Mayor and Council continues to be diligent looking for more opportunities and sharing additional services with local municipalities. Once again, Elmwood Park is currently sharing our health officer with Lodi and Saddlebrook, bringing in additional $75,000 in revenue, and also sharing the head of the building department, saving Rochelle Park's head of building department, saving both municipalities approximately $45,000. The Elmwood Park Board of Health has also started looking into the contracts that they're having. They seem to want to cut. It seems that they're, such as the animal control service contract, it seems that there are other providers that provide these same services at a substantially lower cost. So the next meeting they're going to be starting looking into this to improve. We'll be looking for improved services at lower costs for the upcoming year. Finally, the Elmwood Park Homeowners Association normally holds their monthly meeting on the last Wednesday of the month, which is 10/31. 12, as soon as I get a schedule, I will announce it at the next mayor council's public meeting. You can also visit the Elmwood Park Homeowners website. That's right, man, they have a website now. www.elmwoodparkhomeowners.com for the dates of their meetings and future excursions. And lastly, the Elmwood Park Hall of Fame Committee will be holding its 22nd annual induction dinner on October 24th at the Brownstone. They will be inducting 5 new members. They are Scott Wisniewski for wrestling and football, Dr. Stuart A. Levine, wrestling, Paul Danson, football, wrestling, and coaching, Claire Alfieri, special contributor, and Dominic Seville, coaching. And also being inducted is also the 1970-71 East Patterson High School champion football team. Tickets are $35, and you get available. You can reach out to Jack Cleveland at 201-797-3008 or Brian Peoples at 973-600-7621. Jack Cleveland, 201-797-3008. And Brian Peoples, 973-600-7621. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Giblin?
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Council has usurped some of my report, but I do have one that they don't have. The Elmwood Park Recycling Office, along with the Bergen County Utilities Authority, is sponsoring a free paper shredding event for Elmwood Park residents. The event will take place Saturday, October 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the parking lot behind this municipal building. All documents will be shredded, and you can bring anything you want. You have to remove paper clips, staples, and paper cardboard covers must be removed. But if you have a lot of items that have to be shredded, please be here Saturday, October 27th, 9 to 1 p.m. And gentlemen who were at the gymnasium when we named the gym after Richard DeMauro and heard me read my proclamation, bear with me. I'd like to read it again for the people watching on TV. Whereas Richard J. DeMauro, since the age of 2, has called East Patterson Elmwood Park his home, attending local schools, marrying native resident Diane Dobeck, and settling permanently in the borough with her to raise their family. And whereas Mr. DeMauro, a member of the East Patterson High School's first graduating class and one of the first sports stars in its history, was an outstanding athlete in football, wrestling, and track. And his record of local sports accomplishments includes scoring the first touchdown in Elmwood Park history, athletic history. He excelled in the first varsity wrestling team, standout in track in the sprints, and in the long and high jump, and all of which have earned him a place on the Elmwood Park Athletic Hall of Fame that Councilman Work just alluded to. And whereas he shared his athletic acumen and interest in recreational activities with thousands of local youths and adults of all ages as Elmwood Park's Recreation Director from 1969 to 2007, during which time he was known as the face of the Elmwood Park Recreation. And whereas he spearheaded significant expansion in the highly successful summer programs and many sports programs, creating the borough's junior soccer teams, the grammar school, middle school, and high school level girls softball leagues, men's touch football league, junior wrestling program, and the North Jersey Junior Wrestling League, which he served as its first president. And whereas his coaching was exemplary, and his record as a junior wrestling coach legendary, his wrestlers won 7 district team championships, and he coached 331 recreational district champs, 102 regional champs, 8 state champs, 37 state place finishes, 2 national place finishes, and 2 national champs. And whereas during his tenure as Recreation Director, he contributed to the improvement of our parks, the new building that has his name on the gym now, the Recreation Center, and the introduction of the popular spray ground that we have, which is known throughout the state and one of the first in our state of New Jersey. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the power vested in me as the mayor of the borough of Elmwood Park that the entire community join in publicly thanking Richard J. DeMauro for his 38 years of dedicated work in recreation, and in congratulating this deserving local athlete, coach, and recreation director on the special occasion of his Recreation Center Gymnasium being named in his honor, and be it further proclaimed that the 30th of September in the year 2012 is hereby declared and is forever remembered as Richard J. DeMauro Day in Elmwood Park. I think my reading this is significant because he was not only our recreation director, he was an outstanding athlete, good man, pleasant to be with, helped all these people become state champions, and well liked all the way around. He deserved having the gym named after him, and I commend the recreation department and this council for going along with that proclamation and the dedication of the plaque to Richard DeMauro. Thank you. That's it.
Mayor, I forgot one thing.
Sure. Yes.
I forgot to mention one thing for the public. October is also National Anti-Bullying Awareness Month. With one incident of bullying every 7 minutes, sadly, bullying is the most frequent form of violence that school-age children encounter. It is an unwanted, aggressive behavior among school-age children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. This behavior, if repeated over and over, has the potential to be harmful to both the kid being bullied and the bullier. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard at this time? Thank you. Anyone in the audience?
Yes, we're on public then.
Yes. Please give your name and address.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Christy Dare. Live at 106 Florence Place in Elmwood Park.
Mr. Dare, you're sitting there with your wife, Mary.
Yes.
And you have a grandson by the name of Michael.
Yes, I do.
Who is the leading quarterback for our high school football team.
Yes, he is.
I want to congratulate you and him. He's doing a great job. He's 6'4", and he's only a sophomore.
Correct.
That's not fair to me and a lot of the short guys. So he's going to be 6'5". Thank you, Mary. Makes it even worse.
We're very, very fortunate to have a grandson like that.
He's a good boy.
Pleasant to watch him. I came here this evening to speak on actually the parking on Florence Place. The gentleman earlier that spoke about parking and when you buy a house near commercial facilities was very correct. You shouldn't change the parking. You shouldn't expect something different. When we first moved into the town, we had alternate side of the street parking, which worked out very favorably. There was no problem. You had plenty of room, 2 cars to pass up and down the block, and the traffic wasn't that bad. Right now, the way the situation is, because of parking on both sides, it's pretty dangerous, especially when you try to pull into the street. You have to stop to let a car get by. You could get rear-ended, and it's causing problems. Also, parking on both sides of the street, even though my driveway and my neighbor's driveway adjourn, that means we have a wide driveway. People block our driveway or his driveway, and it makes it very hard for us to get in and out of our driveway. That's with 2 driveways. The other people with single are even worse. I've spoken to a couple. Unfortunately, they haven't come here this evening to speak up. But if you would like, I'm sure we can get some more people to voice their opinion. But as I see it, when we first moved in, alternate side of the street parking worked out about the best that could be. Parking on both sides makes it very dangerous for the street. I think that's about covers it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? No one else wishes to be heard? I'll close the public portion of the meeting. No one wishes to be heard. I'll close the public.
Mary.
Oh, Mary, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hi, good evening. I just have one question.
Speak into the microphone.
I just
Give your
have
name
one
and address,
question.
please.
Mary Dare on Florence Place. When we filled out that letter, what was the outcome of that letter that we gave you and had to be in for September the 1st?
Mr. Kazmark, do you remember any of that?
What were we in favor of, alternate side or the way it is now?
Well, as Councilman Bonsino alluded to in his comments before the vote, there were some surveys that came in late. But if you tabulated those, Florence Place elected to stay the way it is currently, and the other 3 streets elected to go with option 1, which was alternate during the day and unrestricted in the evenings.
But you're not considering making Florence Place separate from everybody else, are you?
That's a governing body decision.
Because that would be as dumb as trying to make us Fairlawn, which the same person tried to do a few years ago to get us out of Elmwood Park to become Fairlawn. I just took a couple of pictures of what it looks like on our street day in and day out, if anybody wanted to see them.
If you can give them to the clerk. You want to keep them?
No, I don't need them.
Okay, give them to the clerk and he'll pass them around at the next work meeting.
Okay. We just would, I know it's hard to please everybody and you're never going to please everybody, but it's really difficult. There are days we cannot get out of our own driveway. Especially if we try to take our van out. We can't get out when they're parked on both sides of the street. So please consider that too.
Who's the we?
The other half of me.
And who's your neighbor?
And if he's parked in the beginning of his driveway, people think because it looks like a wide driveway, but that's 2 driveways. When he's parked in front of his, we only have 1 driveway to get out. We cannot get out of our driveway when they're across the street and in front of us also.
And his name is?
Mr. Anello.
Thank you. Anything else? I think that what Mr. Bonsino mentioned at the last work meeting was that the letter that went out suggesting tell us what you feel had a due date on it, and the other people came in after the due date. You mentioned that to me earlier.
So October 18th is when you're going to decide which way it's going?
We just tabled it now. It hasn't. First reading hasn't passed yet. We're at 0 now.
You're at 0. Okay.
If anything's done, you have a first reading and then a second reading.
And when is the second reading? On the 18th?
No,
we don't have it.
No, it's dead. Denied. You tiebreaker.
It was denied unless it's brought up again. Unless
it's not changed. Right now, it's not changed.
Totally. Totally confused.
It's not happening.
This ordinance of separating
right
your
now you have
street-
alternate side. Is that what you had before?
The ordinance of separating your street from the other 3 that were involved was denied tonight.
That's it.
That ordinance was denied.
Okay.
But there's still no conclusion to there's no resolution to what's going to happen on those 4 streets. We still have to go over that and come up.
But Larry, like the mayor says, could revert back right now to what it was before. Correct?
I was just going to say that.
What you had before.
As of right now, from 1969 to the present day, that street has been alternate side parking.
That's what it's going to be.
If you go down and look at the ordinance, right now, it's alternate side parking.
Right.
If we would decide to not discuss this any further and just let it revert back to what it was, it's alternate side parking. But we're trying to come to a resolution that satisfies everybody. That's what we're trying to do. And when Councilman Wirt came up with option number 1, it seemed to us that would satisfy everybody. And it did, except for some residents on Florence Place. Now, that's the reason that we were thinking about separating, but as you can see here, that ordinance was denied. But we still have to do something there. We still have to work on it. It can't be just left the way it is with the signs covered. That can't happen.
If I may, Mayor, I have a question. Mr. Dare, I'm just trying to get your picture, which you're living and breathing there. What you're saying is when there's parking on both sides of the street, it's virtually impossible to get your car out because of the width of the street.
Right.
To make a turning.
Right. Especially if we try to take the van out. In other words, if we want to go on Broadway, we have to make the left and go all the way around the block when I'm 10 feet away from Broadway. We can't make that turn having a car here and one directly across. So at least if one side is empty, we can maneuver and get out.
Could I just add one thing, Councilman Coletti? When I was out asking the people how they felt about what was going on in the neighborhood, the people that were in favor of alternate side parking, that was like one of their biggest complaints. If a car parks close to their driveway, but there's nobody across the street because it's alternate side parking, it's no problem backing out. If it happens that when they're backing out, the cars are on the other side of the street, it's alternate side parking. There's no one near their driveway. They have no problem backing out. When it isn't alternate side parking and you have cars in both situations, it becomes more difficult to get out of.
Okay, thank you.
That was a complaint of quite a few people.
There, just one question. The problems that you described.
I can hear you.
The problems that you described, are they attributed, in your opinion, to the commercial traffic that's in your neighborhood, or are they other residents?
No, it's mostly, I imagine, people shopping in all the stores. And I imagine it's going to get worse when the other store opens, the cleaner, because those people are going to say, oh, I'm only going to be a minute. I'm just dropping something off. They don't care that they block you in. The other day, a woman had my driveway blocked, and I waited for her to come out. And I said, you're blocking the driveway. We can't get out.
Thank you.
So we're afraid it's going to get worse.
I have one more question, because like Councilman Castiglia had mentioned, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. The other night, we had like 5 or 6 residents from that same block with an opposite contention. So what I'm finding it hard to fathom is, how are we getting half of the block saying that they want the alternate side parking and the other half saying they want to leave it the way it is with no restrictions? Maybe you can clear that up for
Well, I think maybe because they're further in the street, so they're not getting all that mess that we're getting, being the first few houses. We're the houses that they turn around in, and park is close, so they have less to walk.
If I may stop you. Now, with that said, could that be a compromise? We only go back X amount of feet from Broadway and start the ordinance from that point on.
You have that now. The beginning of Florence Place, right from before our house, you can park on both sides. Starting with the first homes, back is different. So we have that already. But it wasn't as bad when you were able to have an empty side where someone could move out of the way and let someone come in and out.
What do you say about push the alternate sites back further?
Yeah, it's something we should discuss.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
We've gone from people wanting no parking on the entire street to now parking on both sides of the street. And I don't know how long that's going to be before we get back. If it gets too congested there, people are going to say, we don't want any more parking on the street like they wanted before. Okay? May I have a... I think I closed the public portion, but...
My name is Vincent Nello. I live at 100 Florence Place. The only question I'd like to know is, why does an ambulance have to park a block away to come in and get a patient and drag them down the street to put them in an ambulance? This is what the ambulance couldn't get in front of the house. Plus, I'm getting tired of my car being hit in my driveway. My sidewalks are broke. This has been going on for 40 years. It's a waste. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close the public portion?
And the air conditioning.
And the air conditioning, so moved. Second, Mr. Work, all in favor, opposed, so moved. And a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Conboy, Mr. Castiglia, all in favor, opposed, so ordered. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure you check to see if what I gave you before on the still on. Am I still on? Let me just go over that. You can watch this on TV, channel 77, on Friday at 2 p.m. and on Monday Friday at 12 p.m., 12 noon, and on Monday at 2 p.m. from October 1st to March 31st. Thank you very much. Glad you came.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh,